is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
70 to 80% are young people. How does that power, which is so evident, translate into constitutionality, where we say that in order for us to realize a leader, there is a process that must take place. And in this case, that's the process of voting. That other processes may have taken place with voter education, with civic education, and a lot of all these other things that now culminates in the vote. How is this power transferred, like you did in the wires? You put on the light and it moves through the wires and then the light goes on. How does that happen? How do you take that to become this other thing?
Thank you so much. What I would like you to understand is that when it comes to national leadership, it's built through structures and having a very clear plan on how to transform the country. And what I've seen most of the time when the young people are following some good rallies, having radicalization, is majorly because they follow vibe, not really things that are of the impact and the elements that are concerned of the issues of national leadership. So if the young people could understand of how important it is for somebody to come in place and lead a country, then perhaps they may have to relook on other factors that build in the character, build in the somebody acumen of the leadership, but at the same time on issues of job opportunities, because I think that is number one of the issues that the youth must always ensure that at least somebody who's coming to that place in leadership and taking these accolades is to ensure that they create job, they become to make the country become industrialized, and also to ensure that they protect the rule of law that whole pledge when we see them being sworn every time when they're in Kasarani, and perhaps 2027 it will be Talanta Hela Stadium. So these are things that I want the young people to understand, that when it comes to national leadership, it's something that is built over years, and it's built through strategies, and it's built through plans, and it's built through the ensuring that everybody is consulted in the place. But at the same time, if the young people want to participate effectively, there are basic things that are required to do, not just participation. And one thing that I know in my life, if there is economic empowerment, it reduces radicalization and it improves voters' turnout. So these are things that also, for the youths, why they don't come out, we may have those issues that make them to remain indoors and not come to vote. But at the same time, we must ask ourselves, do we sit in those room of ours during the voting time, or do we have to go out to ensure that we elect those leaders that will perhaps change this country? So we may be the majority, yes. Others may refer us as majority, the silent majority. But the question is, are we majority on which side? The side that have the loss or the side that has the win? But at the same time, we have to understand ourselves. We have been talking of issues we have been seeing these faces since 1980. But the question is, when shall it dawn on our side? Then it means a matter of transition. Like my friend here, Mchanga, and me here, we have invested our time. Maybe it seems when we were teenagers at 19. What do you expect us to go when we are 50? So when it comes to leadership, it's built over time. You'll never expect somebody from outside with no any political experience to come just in the group because he has a sanity in life, maybe he's clean as Jesus, and says, I want to be your president because I have integrity. There are things and components that make a leader. And one of it is the consistency and understanding all issues that happen around this country. And that's why when I see a presidential candidate who has come from an industry or a private sector and wanting to be a president, my question is, what is the reality of politics in country? There are issues that it has never left us since independence. Issues of regionals. We were divided by, not in our will, but by the virtue that I don't know which empirical formula they used to divide us into regions. But at the same time, when we came to new constitution, again, it happened. We had counties from Rift Valley, we had counties from Mount Kenya, we had counties from Coast, we had counties from Eastern. And you're asking yourself, what are these common things that are happening in these counties? You realize the counties in Rift Valley, maybe they're in this tribe. The counties in Mount Kenya, they're majorly Kikuyus. The counties in Eastern are majorly Kampas. That factor. And again, when you see the leaders from those regions, where now they have the backup from the people of their own region, they're exactly people of the same tribe from their ethnicity. So you wonder, do we change this leadership from the aspect of tribal lens, or do we change this leadership from the angle of ensuring that we have transformative kind of leadership? But my thing is, being a tribe A or B is not a problem. What is a problem is when a leader forget the mandate and the duty that are supposed to be placed on them when they're in that office. So that's why the president coming in office, we know that is not a babysitting job. It's a serious job that you need to transform. That's why when you see William is having this kind of rebel every time, is because change by nature, it brings that kind of friction. And that's why you may expect it to happen. So I want the young people to understand the weight, the magnitude that it carries when it comes to having the leaders in place, not just following the vibe.
Well, thank you, Brian. However, you being a young person, it worries me that the first sort of a conversation is a tribal conversation, coming from you. Yet today, everybody is saying, this is what we walked away from when we gave ourselves a new constitution. The new constitution was meant to be an equalizer. And that's why it gave us, one, a devolved government. And we are a people, as a Kenyan nation, who come from more different walks of life. Of course, we have tribes. But it is unfortunate that the first conversation we can have when you're talking about changing our country is how tribal we are. Yet, we walk away from the issues. Today, I would ask you, because you're a youthful person from the UDA party.
Yes.
And the popular conversation in the youthful circles is that Ruto must go, because they feel he has not honored, as you said, what he pledged for when he was sworn in to be the president of this country. Do you think that the youth are delusional or deluded when they say Ruto must go because he's not upholding the ethics, the functionality, and the mandate of being in that office? You as a young person.
You said when you were beginning the conversation, all the things was mentioning tribe. And me, I'm looking at things from the logical perspective. And as much as how many times you can wish it away, by default, that conversation in politics will always come into place. And when you see something of sort, we wish to overcome it. But overcoming such kind of a thing, it's very not that easy, because it's something that it has been inculcated. It's something that it has become like a doctrine that many have been built inside themselves. The many have understood the game. That's why they say politics is local. Do you know why they say that? Because you need to go back to your people. That's why when you see the opposition will just be saying, we have to lock him, kama Ukambani tumefunga, Mount Kenya tumefunga. These are language that the whole guys are putting on us. But remember, the people who are in the place now at the moment, who are leading us, are the same people who are saying this, not the young people. The young people are saying, we want to vote for the leaders who want to transform this country. And that is the thing. When you say the President William Ruto, majority of the young people are saying one term, that is a lie. I can tell you that. Yesterday we had election.
By election.
Yes, by election, that is the word. And all those seats, we got it away with it. Why? Because the people in the ground understand exactly what we are doing. The whole thing that you are seeing here online and the reality in the ground are not the same thing. There's a difference between people who follow the vibe and the difference between the people who are on the ground who understand what the government is doing.
Do you
we all know
agree?
that.
And if I can ask a question on top of that, so he's saying that people are following the vibe, but are not taking that good vibe feeling and are not translating it into any kind of action. Because if they were, we would see something different. Essentially, if UDA swept up all four of those seats, there were four of those seats yesterday, if we saw anything beyond vibe, Kiragu, that perhaps you would have then seen a split result.
I think my friend Brian, and I love how he articulates issues with regards to government. He's quite wrong when he mentions that the young people are actually on the ground, as he has mentioned, are actually not against President William Samoei Ruto. And there's a reason to that. You see, poverty does not know tribe. Economic issues don't know ethnicity. So when it comes to issues to do with how the country is being run, what issues we are facing, we don't acknowledge that you're a Kikuyu, we don't acknowledge you're a Luo, we don't acknowledge you're a Kalenjin, we acknowledge you are all Kenyans. So we are all in the same bracket. So when the young people come out and say that, for example, there is a bill in Parliament, the National Infrastructure Bill, that seeks to take us to Singapore, right? That we are going to be having roads being constructed everywhere. But then in that particular bill, around clause 2 or clause 3, we see that the government has kind of control over the funds, and we are waiving off the duties of the control of budget, waiving off the duties that Parliament has, waiving off the duties that also Treasury has as a checker. Then I am concerned. I am concerned by the mere fact that when you speak about economic empowerment, we are looking into speeches that are being given out there, rallies that are being conducted, gaining political mileage, but not focusing on the real issues that are there. So when you talk about Ruto must go, we are looking at the issues. We are not looking at, the tribal king, or we're not looking at the person who knows all the politics, who has been there in the political system. We are saying that Ruto must go because of the issues that have been there. The issues with regards to healthcare, the issues with regards to education. That is very vital. We're looking at the issues with regards to CBC, for example. We've had a lot of issues with parents who have been transitioning their kids from grade 9 to grade 10. So these are the issues that the youth are actually saying that we need to look into them. If we don't look into them, then we are simply saying Ruto must go. So aside from that, the reality is that we cannot base merely leadership on a political win or a by-election win. Leadership requires us to look into what issues are underlying there. So merely celebrating a win, saying that the government is popular because of winning by-elections, it started with the Mombasa North by-election, and I remember having an engagement with Brian earlier on, and him telling me, government is going to take this particular seat. So the real issues that are there on the ground are, if the people of Mombasa North then elected that particular member of parliament, we don't want to know whether you are supporting government or not. We want to actually have our issues sorted out.
And you see, yes, that for me is where the crack of the matter is, yes, right? We are here saying the government is doing everything, that the youth needs to get involved. One asks the question, as we said today, Brian, right? Mwananchi is asking, the youth are asking, where are we with healthcare? Where are we in fighting corruption? Where are we with governance? You understand? That I will tell you this: the president comes in my constituency, I will come out and look at this guy. Also, this is how he looks like, right? But that does not mean it's support. You're talking about vibes. I might come just look at this guy because, first of all, the president who made a promise to ensure that I'm employed has not made that happen. I do not have a job. What do I do when he shows up? I'm going to show up to look at the guy. You know what I mean? But here we are talking about the issues that the youth have spoken on the streets that saw them be killed. Issues to do with governance, economic empowerment, and not economic empowerment that is being pushed by politicians. Real economic empowerment that would get rid of poverty in the country. Poverty is the equalizer in all these conversations. Ask any Kenyan today, are you richer today before the government got into office? And you'll get your answer. All these statistics that you keep on throwing around macro level does not translate to Mwananchi on ground. Ask someone today, with the money you have, are you able to buy 2 packets of unga, despite the fact that unga is now at 150? Are they able to buy 2 packets of unga? They'll tell you no. Why? Because things are expensive. The economy is so high in the country. So one asks the question, when we say that youth need experience, fine, the youth need experience, but who says that we must do things the way it has been done every other time for us to get new results? At times, we need to disrupt the system and do things differently. Do you reckon?
Wow, that's a good question. And I will answer this way. When we were campaigning and once we came into power, one of the things that we were following majorly was the 5 pillars in our better. bottom-up economic transformation agenda. And there were 5 things that we prioritized. And those things were the things that will reckon this country and transform this country in the way that we were projecting. And one of it was agriculture, the other one was housing, and then now reducing cost of living by ensuring that we have affordable health services. And then now we came with digital superhighway and creative economy, and also micro, small, and medium enterprise economy, and all of these things. And one of the ways that we had to intervene was to have quick plans, which was the quick wins, and then have short, and then have medium, and then have long term. And at the moment, we are in 2023, 2027 medium, for the medium plan revolving around implementation. And one of those things was, if we are going to prioritize these issues that we have put forward, is to ensure that if we are going to go back to formal, informal sector by going to MSME and also promoting the local people at the ground level, this is the best way to ensure that we have inclusive economy, ensuring that the Kenyans at the bottom of the pyramid are also empowered. And when we're looking for that, we ask ourselves, how do we put all these agendas and manifestos into effectiveness? Because when we are doing housing, is a national issue to do with the housing program to ensure that everybody afford a dignity housing. But in the same time we are doing that, we ensure that even the people at the lower cadre of our society also ensure they have the job, they put the food on the table. And all of this was done because we had to understood between the white collar job, blue collar, and then the lottery. You know, we have 3 in pyramid. We have the white collar, which is in the top of pyramid, and then in the mid we have blue collar, and then at the bottom we have the lottery. These are people who majorly are the majority in this country. The people who wake up each and every morning are going somewhere, not guaranteed that they'll have maybe $2.5 a day, but they are just lottering around to know. They're just betting. They don't know if they can afford that meal, but they are guessing work. So we had to think about it. How much does this cost to create one white-collar job? It costs 3 million. That is the nature of it. What does it cost to create one blue-collar job? It costs 1.5. But what does this cost to create one lottery job? This means that you need only 150,000. And for the government, thought it would be very wise to empower the people at the bottom, and this will ensure that our economy,
putting them in the
and doing what
different
exactly?
sectors.
How have they been? How has that happened?
That has happened. Let me explain to you.
Yeah.
We have a lot of activities the government is conducting now,
such as
housing. That's number one.
That has put money in the hands of this lower level,
yes,
to the number of
people are working.
Okay, let's go through this, shall
Yes.
we? How many people, let's give or take percentage and numbers, are at this lower cadre that you talk about? How many people? It's a
They're
quick
majority in
It's a
this
quick
country.
answer. Give me a percentage.
They're the majority.
Give me a number.
I can say they're 60%.
60%?
Yes.
So if you take 60% of the population of the country, we're talking about upwards of 28 million people.
Yes.
All right?
20
Okay,
million.
maybe actually more.
Good.
50% is
Yes.
26 million.
Yes.
So 10% more of that puts you at about 29 million.
Yes.
So 29 million people in this country are at that cadre. And what you're telling me now is that it has been done so that these people have now something in their hand on a daily basis that can push them economically. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is this, the 60% I'm talking about is the workforce of this country. The people between the age of 18 to 35, which...
careful with the numbers, Brian.
Yeah, I'm very careful with that.
Let me put it this way to you.
Yes.
From 0 to 9,
Yes.
how would you rate the performance of this government?
9.
9.
Yes.
Kiragu, what do you think?
I'll
Let's have a civilian give you more feedback. Go ahead.
Yes, I'll give it a 1 out of 9. Yes.
Could
What
you
would-
qualify?
Why would you
Yes.
give it a 9?
Yeah.
What indicators would give you, because 9 is 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
What indicators would say that 9 is what has been achieved?
Let's come this way. When we are coming in place, and as a ruling party, and as the place at the moment, we came with the manifesto. And this manifesto is purely based on what we engaged the citizenry in regards to what we want to do to them. And also they gave us what they mandate.
Brian, so that we
have
don't
to
go
do
down
with
a
them.
slippery slope here and
Yes.
waste our minutes,
Yes.
it's necessary.
Yes.
Because we are saying if you scored a 9, which is 100%,
Yes.
that means if I did an exam and they asked me to answer 20 questions and
Yes.
each question was 3 marks, that
Yes.
means I got every one of them.
Yes.
We've already established that there was a manifesto.
Yes.
You said that there were certain things that were done for a lower cadre,
Yes.
for example.
Yes.
I want to understand 60% of the country's population, from what you're saying based on a manifesto, that means that 29 million people today have jobs and that they can afford the $2.5 a day that you're talking about for food. Is that the case?
I didn't say that. You're saying that.
What are the
I'm
indicators?
saying,
Let's
what
go.
I'm saying is this. when it comes to transformation, I talked about quick wins,
Which are what?
short terms, medium.
Give me
and
one
long
quick win. Give me one so that we can see. One.
We had a
quick-
lot of quick wins.
One.
When we come in place. The
One.
intervention, like for agriculture, providing fertilizer subsidy. That's a quick win.
Well, fertilizer is not food. Are you aware we have drought in the northeastern?
But we need also to provide
Are
to
you aware
produce
we have
food
drought?
in the regions
Are you aware-
where we have
are you
arable
aware
lands
that-
for this food.
Are you aware that we are having drought today?
We have it.
If we are producing enough food to feed ourselves, the 100% score,
Yes.
we would be able to feed those people. Are you aware that almost 500,000 of students did not transition to grade 10? How do you rate that as a 100% scorecard for this government? Are you aware that kids did not go to grade 10?
I want to tell you this.
Are you aware there was a mismatch? Kids were placed 2 counties away from their home for a day school.
Yeah, those are issues
And
that
that
are
is still
happening.
100%.
And those are technological issues when it comes to
It's not
places.
technological issue. That's the reality of our country, courtesy of the leadership we have, led by your party, the UDA party, by your party leader, William Ruto, whom the youth are saying must go. And
No.
that's why Kirago is saying 1%. And let's hear how he's qualified. He's qualifying his 1%. Please.
Thank you so much. And I think, the most unfortunate bit is that Brian is not coming to the reality that this government has performed poorly. When you speak about the manifesto that was there in 2022, the bottom-up economic transformation model, that particular manifesto was coined on the hustler narrative, that we are going to empower the people who are below the pyramid. We are going to ensure that we have economic empowerment. We are going to ensure that they have money in their pockets and what have you. But what have we experienced so far? Because, we have to judge that particular manifesto vis-a-vis the timeline that it had, the 5 years.
5
that it
years,
had.
yeah.
So within this particular period that you are facing currently, and Brian needs to come to this particular reality, is that people don't have money in their pockets. The pay slip is constrained, Brian. When we speak about the issues that are being faced with regards to taxation, we have a lot of double taxation, in fact, but we're not having a translation of the taxation towards development. In fact, we are saying that we need to borrow more in this particular regime. And yet, when we are speaking about the bottom-up economic transformation model, you are saying that we're going to have our own in-source revenue. We're not going to suppress the Mwananchi. We're not going to suppress Wanjiko with taxation per se. So when we speak about this particular government, we have seen a deliberate move to actually destroy the systems that were there, that were in put. That when we look, for example, let me give a very simple example, because we are both youth. When we look at the Nyota Fund, for example, does the president have to run around issuing out the Nyota Fund? 22,000 shillings. Do I have to necessarily come to Kiambu County, where I come from, or Nyamira County, and come to, and give you that particular money, spend a lot of resources with regards to presidential motorcades, with regards to mobilization funds, to come and give you 22,000 shillings? Money which is not accounted for, Brian. 22,000 shillings can actually come from that particular ministry directly into the phone of the youth. So we are saying that this government has performed dismally. It is politicizing each and everything. It is politicizing healthcare. When you look at, for example, SHA, which you were told that is coming to transform the healthcare system, transitioning from NHIF, we have actually seen that patients are moving. For example, I went to a hospital recently, and when this particular patient came in and said that neza tumia SHA, she was told, hatuna signatory hapa. So what does that mean? So you're being taxed for that particular healthcare, but you're not actually experiencing the benefit that you're supposed to be experiencing. We are looking into aspects of politicizing with regards to claiming that these claims that are being made by the hospitals are frivolous, or they're fraud. But you've not looked into the issues that are underlying there. So these issues that the government is actually undertaking, these things that the government is actually undertaking, are a clear reflection that they have veered off from the bottom-up economic transformation model. Now, they're telling us about Singapore. You see, this is a shift of narrative. So we need to actually understand why are we headed to Singapore again? Have we achieved the manifesto that we were given 5 years ago, 2022? Have we achieved each and every tenet that we were given in that particular manifesto? And now you're speaking about 5 trillion shillings, which was not present in the bottom-up economic transformation model, the plan. It was not present. So these issues of telling us about Singapore, we need to actually strengthen our systems, because if we need to move, then we need to ensure that the systems are there. And lastly, as I conclude, accountability is not opposition. It is constitutional patriotism. So when we speak about the government failing us as the youth, when we speak about the government failing the common mananchi, when we speak about the government in fact, when we speak about employment, I've just remembered that you're being told that you're going to be taken to Russia to actually fight on behalf of Russia, have empowerment in that particular, war and such kind of things. So when we demand accountability, when we have debts in Russia, then we're saying that is wrong. The government has performed dismally.
Well, I think one thing we have to appreciate is that experience is not competence. So the next time they flaunt their experience card, tell them it is not competence. We have so many experienced politicians who are holding very high office, but they are not competent enough to deliver for Kenyans. So I would just want to perhaps ask you, Kirago, or Brian, because already your position is well defined and it is okay. Do you have faith or hope in this regime that the country can be transformed to aspirations of the current youthful generation today?
I don't really have hope in this regime. The little hope that I had was at least in 2024, when we had, the whole issue of the cabinet being sent home and us experiencing a period where we will have a kind of, I'd love to call it an altar call, right? That we will be dipped into the holy waters of Article 10, experience the national values and principles that we intended. But then that hope subsided because the same old people who are there within the system, who destroyed the system from 2022 to 2024, are the same guys who are retained. So the little hope that I had, I no longer have that particular hope. And moving into the future, I am telling Brian straight on the face that this is a one-term government. This is a government that is going home in 2027 because it has failed Kenyans dismally, and we're looking at the issues. We're not, necessarily, the president keeps on saying that I am not a madman. I know where we are taking the country. But critics may say that actually the president is actually not doing the right thing and is actually living up to whatever he says he's not. So when we look at this government, it has failed terribly, Brian, and we are going to take it home in 2027.
Brian, perhaps finally, because you say performing at 100%. If this is the best that this regime can offer the country,
this is 100%.
Yeah, isn't it time that then they allow another person to come and give us another 100%?
I want to say this. When beliefs meet arithmetics, it exhausts naturally.
When what happens?
When the belief meets arithmetics, it exhausts naturally. And that is because we are holding the belief that this government is one term. But arithmetically, that is far from the fact. And we are going to be in the second phase of this regime coming 2027.
Is that a belief or an arithmetic?
Arithmetically. And we're going to be past 2032. We are past 2032. And I'm saying this because, not from the aspect of just following the whole politics that is going on, this kind of disruption thing that is happening in the country. And we're doing this because it's always in anyone's heart when it comes to leadership to transform a country. And one of those things that we're doing is to ensure that in this country that we got it into place, we are talking about Singapore. It's a metaphorical, my brother Evans. It's nothing like Kenya will be Singapore. It's a metaphorical.
Okay.
Representing a vision that where we are heading and transform this country with the empowerment that we have and with the resource that we have and with the creativity that we have is to ensure that we have 5 trillion economic transformation that we need to have within the period of maybe 20 years or 25 years.
All right, I'd like us to take a break at this point. We're going to come back. We're going to do the news and come back because there's something that we need to look into, and I think it's critical for us not to leave this conversation without having grounded a couple of things. Brian and Kirago are here with us. We're continuing this conversation. Lisamera will take us through the news and then we'll come back after this at 8 minutes past.
The latest.
These Kenyans for whom there's responsibility on their shoulders, and we're saying, is it the next force or is it the force then that has to contend or then be reckoned with when it comes to how the nation's politics will continue to progress. Kipkorir Brian is Youth Affairs with UDA, and Mushanga Kirago is a lawyer and youth leader, Kikuyu constituency. We're having this conversation this hour before we went to take the news, and we're looking at what 100% looks like. And I hear teachers sometimes saying, don't give me a weak A. Give me I want a strong A. Because that weak A sits somewhere at 80%, 79%. We want you to give us a commanding A of 90 and above, right? And so that's why you have this education system whereby we say you're exceeding expectation, you are approaching expectation, you are meeting expectation, you are, below expectation. What you've told us, Brian, is that 9, I don't know why you did 0 to 9, but okay, we'll go with that, Joe. But 9, and you're saying 100%. So I have to ask the question, because let's not be biased, let's not be prejudiced, let's be factual, right? That when we see that there are children who are out of school in this drought, don't be deceived by this rain, that we still see the effects of drought today, that there are children who had to be pulled. Because not even pulled, they just could not go to school. There are people in this country who are walking 100 kilometers. That's like walking from here to Naivasha to get water in something like this, that is the color of the wall behind you, to drink. That's the reality of our times.
Yes.
That there are people in this country who are at the door of a hospital and die because, this is not me being dramatic, this is the reality. Because at the reception, they tell them that we are not able to offer you treatment because in the system, we can't, regardless of the fact that you've paid for a year. That we have community health workers who are given a stipend of 3,500 shillings per month, right? To go into areas, and that there's one who takes a woman who is in labor to go to hospital. But guess what? He shows up to a medical facility, and even the cotton wool that will be used in the labor process, he will buy. He will find transport to take that woman to hospital, and guess what? He will take from that money to leave some food in that house where that woman is going to deliver. Reality of our times. That there's a man who kneels before his son as he drops him off to high school. This term, not last year, this January that we're talking about, and had 30 Kenya shillings in his pocket, and gave his son and said, stay with that. When I get another one, I will come. Do you want me to continue? Or are you feeling a little bit down? It's okay there. Yeah, Chiapo. That's the reality. Now, government is put in place constitutionally to secure its people. That is its only job. To secure it in different sectors: security, health, education, livelihoods, infrastructure, development. That's the job of government, to create an environment where this security can be guaranteed. Now, I want to understand, if you tell me that, and I'm not even talking about personalities, that the government in place led by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is scoring 100%, and these scenarios are the reality, make it make sense for me.
Good. The essence of me saying that we are doing good well as a government.
No. You said you are scoring 100%.
Yes,
not
yes,
doing
that's
good.
what
Doing good
well.
is approaching expectation.
You're doing well.
Doing good is exceeding.
We're doing well.
Yeah.
And remember, a journey for transformation always starts somewhere. And for that transformation to happen, we purely based it on the timeline that the country has projected under its own philosophy of the policy. And in that ideology, I believe, and in that regard, that whatever that we are doing, we're in the journey of transformation. The issues where you see people are walking over 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers to fetch water just for domestic use is something that has been there before. But through the government, we have come with interventions that we're going to build boreholes to ensure that we have sufficient water for these people. And also we have this water catchment so that we can provide sufficient water for each and every household. And that is a work in progress. There's no point. Remember, in this country, we have resources that are very scarcity when it comes to capital, because we don't have enough money. Remember, a lot of money that we have.
No, there's money. There's money,
No.
because if you can spend 340 million shillings to be flying everywhere, that's just flying. There's money. Let's not talk about scarcity.
We pay
money.
2.2 trillion every year. Large part of it is our odious debt.
Yeah.
We should not be paying a whole trillion per year. And if that money was to be plowed back into the issues that are being articulated, health...
Remember, our
security,
budget is 4.1.
We're talking
4.2 trillion.
Yes. How much do we pay in debt? I'm telling you, last year we paid 2.4 trillion in the month of November.
Yes.
1.2 trillion.
How many go to salary?
No.
No, this is
This is debt
first. This
First
is
we pay
just
debt.
debt.
We paid debt.
Yes.
2.5.
Then what remains? Trillion. What remains is where we come now to debt.
Yes.
I told you to be very careful with numbers
No,
because
we are talking
that's the
about
direction.
4.2 trillion, 2.5 to debt.
No, you don't get it, Brian. You don't get it. Of the money that we collect,
Yes.
of the money that we borrow, we're supposed to put that into development. The taxes that we collect is supposed to go to debt and salaries. You do not borrow to pay debts, right? We have overborrowed. He told you that much. We've had the ceiling. We are
cracked
beyond.
the ceiling.
Yes,
We've broken the ceiling a long
Yes.
time ago.
So the mismanagement of our economy is a conversation we can have for a whole 2 hours. The collection of our taxes, we experience, he told you about double taxation. And that's why it's best a youthful person like you tells you from his own perspective. The tax injustice we're experiencing this day to day, whereby you pay tax, whether you're working or not, you still spend VAT, 16% of the money you spend to buy daily household stuff, you pay that president a salary. He's the number one employee of all Kenyans, all those who are working and those who are not working. And the only thing he's supposed to do, because he's the leader of government, is to ensure that they receive the services that are there constitutionally, not as a favor. So to come here and say that we've had drought for the many years, that you are confirming the injustice that continues to happen from the government. And the government that we can hold responsible is the government of the day today, because they took office to deal with all those issues.
You know,
so I'll forgive you.
No.
You see,
But the young people...
Let me tell you something. Eh? When we are talking about, the drought has been there. That's a fact. As a nature, circumstance. That is the truth. But for the moment, we're having a project in Kulal, in Kilifi and Tana River. Is that the truth? Yes. We are producing a lot of production from agriculture side.
Where does it go?
Obviously,
Are you
this
aware?
country.
Where?
guys,
Are you
comes from
aware of the
surplus.
Emirati farming that is part of the Gulana farming scheme you're talking about?
guys,
So to ask your question.
my question is, we will talk about Galana Kulalu. It does not take 5 years for produce to be harvested.
Right.
If we had produced and harvested, people in the northern part of the country would not be dying of hunger. The project is there. What to show out of it is zero. We will talk about the economy is doing well, people are working. If I'm unable to meet my basics, whatever is happening does not make a damn sense to me. If we are talking about borrowing and I'm not seeing development, what are you borrowing for? Because the law is clear on when you borrow, what you do with the money. If Kenyans are giving you the taxes to a tune of 3 trillion shillings, but that money is not being seen in our hospitals, in our schools, it's not being seen in our development, it's not being seen, it does not make sense to me. If I am a young person today, under the economic empowerment through the better agenda, make it easier for me to do business in the country, and that is not happening. That manifesto does not make sense to me. Kenyans are saying simple things. Make it make sense. So far, that 9% that you're saying,
No,
the score of
100%.
9, that 100% is not making sense even to you who's seated here.
It does.
Okay.
Let me tell you something.
Let's just do that, and then we're going to come with Brian so that we can, kind of wrap this
Yeah.
up. Go ahead. I mean, I've been with Kiragu so we can wrap this up here.
We do have, I'm very happy that Kenya always look at the president as the first employee and the person responsible for
The
their
buck
problems.
stops with them, I'm sorry.
Yes, true. But remember, we have devolved government in place. When we are speaking about the issues of Northeastern, we have been giving them billions of money. Like the country like Wajir, Garissa, Tana River, Marsabit, they have been receiving a lot of money when it comes to these devolved units. And at the same time, what we are asking ourselves, is William the governor of Wajir? Is William the governor of Garissa? Because we have devolved units and they have responsibility also for taking care of their citizens. Is that the truth?
No, it's not the truth. You see,
Is the truth?
the condescending conversation is the same way you saw C.S. Bandi asking people whether William Ruto should be the one walking to Kericho and other places talking about Nyota program. The head of government is the president. The national government can suspend a county government that does not serve its people. That is constitutional. So yes, he is responsible as the head of government. We have to be constitutional. We have to be factual. And if you've been giving money for the last 3 years that this government has been in place to those counties,
No, we have been giving since devolution.
Let's talk about the current president. And that money has not been utilized. Why do you continue giving money when you have the powers to suspend county operations? So, Brian, I know you may have a position, but let's be factual. Kenyans are listening to you and they can hear you. They are youthful like you. They have brothers and sisters who, we have a case in Mombasa today of a young girl, I think it was a young girl, who died because SHA was not pre-authorized. She could not access service.
Sorry for her.
So, that's the reality we are living in today.
Let's come to you, Kirago, as we wrap this up.
Yeah, it's a sad reality that Brian can tell us that we have no money for development, that we have a very construed budget, yet we have money for special advisors, additional special advisors, Brian. We have additional money to give 10,000 teachers each 10,000 shillings at State House. We have money that we can actually bribe people to attend political rallies and meetings. So when we look at our country as we speak currently, and when we look at the issue of accountability, and that's why I said accountability is not necessarily opposition. It's constitutional patriotism.
I agree with you.
When we look, for example, at the devolved units that you have just mentioned, and we have seen of late, recently, I think I need to bring you up to speed with the recent happenings of Nairobi County, that Nairobi County is now being transitioned into the national government.
It's a corporation.
It's whatever you may call it, it's actually the national government taking over the functions.
Is the national government intervening and cooperating and having the budget?
Intervening with 80 billion shillings, yes. Right? So when we look at the national government intervening in the matters to do with Nairobi County, we see an aspect of the president actually playing out. That is saying that Nairobi County has been mismanaged. We have a lot of garbage in the city. We have a lot of things that are not working in the county. We have a lot of pending bills that are there. So we need to fix the capital city. And they had actually a CS for energy, Opio and I, saying on national television that this is the capital city of the Republic of Kenya, that we need to actually ensure that it is working. Regardless of it being the capital city, it is a county. That means that the buck stops with the president. And when the president fails, even these devolved units will actually fail, because he's actually the person who is allocating these budgets through the Ministry of the Treasury, through the control of budget, into these particular devolved units. So as I finalize, I love to say this, that we need to fix this country. We need to ensure systems are working. Investors don't invest in speeches, Brian. Investors invest in systems. And when we don't have good systems, then it means that we don't have a working economy and a working country. The youth population are saying that we need to uphold the standards set out in the Constitution. We need to ensure that the Bill of Rights is protected. We need to ensure that we don't have any other extrajudicial killing. We need to ensure that we live up to the standards that are there in the Constitution.
All right. Thank you so much for this. I think the good thing about conversations is that things then become apparent when you start to have thoughts that then become words, and then hopefully they can go on to action. I want to thank you, both of you, for being here with us this morning to push this conversation along and, actually staying on as you have. So very many things have become apparent. Kipkorir Brian, Youth Affairs with UDA, and Mushanga Kiragu is a lawyer and youth leader in Kikuyu constituency. Thank you for both being here this morning. Asante. 25 minutes after 8 o'clock, our conversations continue, and we'll get into that. Talk a little bit about RSF in a bit. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.